Hey guys, my name is Samora Jones, your emotional restoration coach, and you are listening to the Shattered Whole podcast, where we talk, feel, and heal by doing what? Acknowledging our hurt, claiming our healing, and living as a new creation. I am, as always, excited for the opportunity to be before you and talk with you. And I do mean talk with you because I expect to hear your comments in the comments. And today I have with me. Are you excited? Are you excited? My brother, my friend, my mentor, all the things great and wonderful, Mr. Keith Sawyer.
Nice.
Y'all see my effects? I'm excited.
Wow. Fancy.
Listen, huh? Somebody got a budget. I did not. But we getting there. Praise God. But I wanted to have Mr. Sawyer back on because I feel like there are so many times that you hear other podcasts and this one as we talk through like all of the journeys, right? All of the methods of processing and understanding how we kind of get through like our healing processes. But I think there's nothing better than hearing the stories that got us to the now. Right. Okay. So I want to utilize this episode to testify. So, and we're going to call it, Can I Testify? Yes. So using the opportunity to kind of just say what we survived and then how we are thriving now because of those components, because really all of those experiences, whether we liked them or not, was what got us here. Right. So being able to like talk through those things, and we'll go through, relationships. We'll go through, personal, not when I say personal, whether it was romantic or if it was friendships, and we'll talk through school, development, business, all those things. Okay. These are places where we had to develop a different muscle.
Right.
In our body that accumulated the Sawyer and the Jones that you know today.
Let's get it.
Right. So first, I want to say, can you testify? You got to be in with my. You got to be in with my clique when I be like, can you testify?
Right in.
Please let me testify. Can you testify to a time where, in a relationship, you can remember, I guess, today that attributed to your maturity?
How specific do I have to get?
Listen, as comfortable as you are, like, I always want to make sure in any circumstances that this is a permission thing. I'm always going to ask your permission and then only go where you want to go. We don't need to go no further. Okay. This ain't messy. This ministry.
No, okay? Never messy.
Never messy. Yeah. So, like, there are certain things that contributed to our maturity, just like in different levels, right? Like, there are times where we recognize that it was that we experienced other people, and not maybe not their best ways, but it really was a reflection of what we needed to learn about ourselves, right, and what we needed to like mature in. So, can you testify to a time where you remember a relationship that is now vital to the mature aspect of you now?
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to hold me accountable.
Oh yeah.
All right. But all of them, actually, for me.
All right.
Like, I mean, there's some that fly by night, you know, like subpar situations, and there are some that are like staples, like in my life. So I can start from early on. I was in an early relationship where I needed to make a big decision, like eons ago, and it allowed me to like look bigger and beyond like where I was in the moment, and you know, and it made me mature. Actually, I think that anything that is striking in your life gives you opportunity to be able to like digress or like to promote yourself to something else a little bit different. So I was in a relationship. I won't get that specific, but like a very long time ago, like 20 plus years ago, to where I can either have fun in the moment or I can take on the responsibility of what tomorrow will look like. And I chose to be mature. I chose to think about like my surroundings and things that's bigger than me. Relationships, intimate relationships, and what all those ripple effects would mean. If I throw this rock into this pond, it's going to be ripple effects. And I think that everybody just like want to cast a stone and they think like that's where it ends.
Right.
But it doesn't. So for me, I was able to like forecast bigger than that at the moment. And I took a hard decision that I wasn't prepared to take, but I was brave enough to be able to do it. And that was one of the most. You're going to have to like pull.
Obviously. I'm like, obviously, but I was like, but I'll go with it, right? I'll go with it. So you're saying that there was a point in time that there was a huge decision that had to be made within the relationship. This is decades ago, right? But that a huge decision that had to be made, and you had to pause.
Right.
You had to take an assessment of where you were, and then and then try to think of all the scenarios of what could be.
Yeah, and it's rough. It's I mean, to be that young at the time, because I'm so young still now.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm
I don't know. Bro.
just so young still. But at the time, I'm young.
Yeah. Okay.
Still.
Sure.
You want to touch and agree?
Which?
Come on. Oh, there we go.
All right.
All right. It was 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And I had to think bigger than me, and that was hard at the time. But sometimes you look at a situation and you look into his eyes, or you look into her and her eyes, or you look at the situation for like what it really, really means. And when you know that you are able to do better than a situation, like it's like much is given, much is required. Like I knew that was a lot that was in me, regardless of like what surfaced or not. I knew how much was inside of me at the time, and what I would be able to do for the future. I think that we all play a part in providing a better tomorrow.
Right. Knowing your potential and not staying in potential.
Yeah, because then you get stuck.
Correct.
And your potential becomes average.
Yeah. I remember, because we're doing story time, we testifying, right? So I don't know if we're gonna play that every time we say the word testify.
Listen, I just want you to get used to it. We got drops now, so we out here. Some more is making money. We got drops now. Keep buying those books. We out here.
Don't do that part though.
Testify.
But no, I remember being in a situation, so story time, being in a situation where I was and now this is years ago, this is not my husband, this is decades ago. And I was in a relationship with a guy that it's weird. I think I always knew that he wasn't going to be my forever, but he had the components for me to be comfortable. he had the components for me to. He was someone I could easily manipulate. If I'm being honest, I wasn't always saved. Okay.
Amen.
So what happened?
I was just saying.
Oh, I just wanted to know what you said. But no, he was easily manipulated. And he just gave me what I wanted without much resistance. And I wasn't used to that. And I was so used to not getting enough of what I wanted or what I needed that even when the wrong person for me was giving me everything, I still ignoring my potential. Not necessarily the person's who he could develop into, like who knew, but I knew he wasn't my person, yet I was allowing him to sit in the space and place of my person, because he was comfortable. He was familiar.
Right.
He was easy, like, and I remember when I wasn't taking a step back. I wasn't looking at the rippling effects.
Right.
I wasn't taking accountability for my actions. I was really just like reckless with the person. To the point where, we're gonna go, right? Reckless. I was reckless with the person.
Okay.
So I remember one time where he had came to my sister's house because he was very like, I need to see you. I need to be. He was a little possessive. So it wasn't like he was the greatest guy in the world, but he was really possessive. He was like, I need to know like where you are. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening? And I was like, I'll tell you what I tell you when I tell you. And you'll have several seats and that's the way it's going to be. Like I said, she got a past. And I remember going over to my sister's house and I didn't tell him where I was and where I was going and what was happening. And he showed up at my sister's house and knocking on the door. I want to talk to her. I want to talk to her right now. And I walked in the hallway very confused at why he was banging on my sister's door, why he was yelling, why he was screaming, why he was so angry. And at the time we were engaged. And I was like, listen, I was like, I don't need this. I don't want this. I was like, you could take back this ring. It's nothing. And he was like, is that how you feel? And he tried to like take the ring off my finger. Physically. It was not a good look for him.
Yeah.
It was not a good decision for him.
Sure.
Because I did not have a good.
Interesting. I'm looking for the word that you're gonna use. Okay.
My self-control wasn't at its best.
Stop.
So we had an encounter in the hallway, and he was very upset that what he thought because his statement was because he was a man that I was not as strong as he was.
Right.
That was not the case. And we ended up in a situation where, he went home and I stayed. And the outcome of that was I sat back and I remember my sister asking me, just what are you doing? Like, what are you doing and who are you becoming?
Okay.
Who are you becoming? Because she got that I was angry and that I was upset. And no, he shouldn't have did what he did. But the character that I was displaying.
Yeah, how you responded.
How I responded.
Yeah.
And then who I was becoming more often. Because more often I was in that frame of mind and space than I was who she used to know and the potential of what she knew I could be. But I don't think that I was at a place at that moment to really look at full picture. But she planted the seed of asking, who was I?
Right.
What was I doing? And who was I becoming? And
Compliments to her.
huh?
Compliments to her. That
Yeah.
was the early beginning of like accountability.
Accountability.
Like the relationship of accountability.
Yeah.
Life is going to hit, situations is going to happen, but I think that sometimes when you are responding to a situation, we forfeit, or we think that we can forfeit our responsibility in our response. Oh, I know that.
Oh, how you know that?
Oh, how I know
and,
that.
and I wanna touch into that, right? Because now on the one hand, I had friends who was like, "Oh, he had it coming. What you talking about?
Right.
He came to, like." And I grew up in the projects.
Right. True.
I grew up in the hood,
True.
right? So you come in to knock on somebody's door screaming, acting up, or whatever the case may be.
Asking for it.
You were asking for whatever you got. Right. But I could have went to the door and be like, you got to leave. I could have went to the door and or I could have left with him and been like, we need to go sit down and have a conversation and figure out how we got here. Like the maturity here was nowhere close to where that sis was when that, those things were going on. And so what I want the listeners to kind of think of, who are kind of in these like places where they're finding themselves in heated situations in the immediate that are having poor reflections on, or showing them the poor reflection that's in the mirror. Because at the time, the person that was in the mirror was not reflecting the best person. Was not, and actually was telling me the truth about some anger issues.
Right.
Was telling me the truth about, why are you even entertaining?
Right.
Like him, like, if you see that he's controlling, if you see that he's things, why are you staying?
Right.
Back to, who are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Where are you going?
No, that's dope. It's funny, like we have this saying, I don't want to get all like biblical and stuff like that, but it's like much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
And we think we tend to think that the much is given means more. But what happens if the much is given for the moment is the less?
Oh.
There's still a requirement. So it's kind of like we because we're like surface minded sometimes. It's like, I run across this money, I run across this deal, I run across this car, I run across these relationships, like whatever, we think that is positive is like we have a requirement there, but we equally have a requirement opposite. Everything ebbs and flows, like there's peaks and there's valleys. Yeah. So your requirements at the peak of a situation doesn't necessarily change your requirements at the valley either. So you going at the door, and choosing what I stated that I was going to choose, but I'm not going to say it. But you chose something different in the moment, right? And you wanted to meet. I
was young.
True.
All right.
True. And you know,
I'm still young.
We tend to like choose to like want to forfeit the requirements sometimes. So you don't have all right, I'm getting a little ignorant for just that split second, right?
We gotta be transparent.
I have the ability to do whatever I want to do, however I want to do it, in so many different facets. But Mari, I know that I have a responsibility to be able to like do and choose better. Yeah. For me personally. Some people choose to do worse and less, and they keep going into a hole and like digging deeper. I choose to be like better than my last, or better than my circumstance, or better. And it's hard. Like, we talked about it last time. Like the hard remains hard. You just got to do better about getting past it. But we still got a requirement. Like when BS is sent our way, when ignorance comes to our door and all that good stuff. Now, I would be lying if I said that sometimes I don't want to show ignorance.
Mercy.
Nope,
Oh,
I ain't there. Yep. I mean, I'll be there.
right. No, okay.
But initially, sometimes I want to show ignorance how you do ignorance better.
Oh, that wasn't what I was saying. Got it.
No, I'll show you better. Like you don't know how to be wrong right. I'll show you how to be wrong right, kind of thing, right? But I don't want to hawk my future for the present situation either.
That part.
So
That part. There was this like real like struggle situation that that I was going through with a friend, and I just chose to walk away, which was different for me, right? Because I also know how to I also know how to do things, right? And I chose to walk away. And one of the questions that I was asked was, why did you just give up? Because it looks like when you are doing the less, which is more, it looks like you're not fighting for it.
Right.
It looks like you're giving up.
Right.
It looks like, or you're being defeated, or the person is overpowering you know what I mean? And then those who don't know better, right? Those who don't know better think that you are exhibiting like this weakness, but they don't know like the real strength that you are demonstrating.
right.
By the walk away.
By not doing.
By not doing.
Absolutely.
And what I recognized was the importance of, you said, not hawking your future, but also recognizing how healed you are.
Right.
Like, I would repeatedly say, I'm too healed to go backwards.
Right.
I'm too healed forward to unheal myself.
Right.
In order to address and deal with you at the level and space that you want me to. And I didn't go through the whole acknowledging my hurt, claiming my healing, and then living with a renewed mindset for me to undo it because you want to test the flame. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but sometimes... they got these weird sayings like, like sometimes a baby got to touch the oven and they didn't learn the lesson. Sometimes I be wanting to
let them touch the oven.
Let them touch
the oven.
Like, ooh, let me show you what this flame like. But
right.
But again, I don't know what that communicates. Like, I think that everybody like has breaking points in their certain situations, depending on the person and circumstance. One of my biggest fears is that if I move forward in a space or in a situation, or if I allow my feelings to dictate my actions, like, where's that light switch? Like what? Because sometimes I'll be watching people like switch. Like, things will go from like not the greatest to like really bad. And I think that there's something that happened. Like, there's something that snapped. There's something, and I never want to be a part of that. So I'm always conscious about my steps, my moving forward, because I might try to meet you where you are, but I don't know how contagious that is either. Right? So I want to meet your ignorance.
Good word.
I want to meet your ignorance. And the truth be told, I think that I'll do it better. I know I'll do it better. Right? But how contagious is this cold virus situation that you have going on, whatever you subscribe to or whatever the case may be? And then what does it mean for me? I can get a cold, you can get a cold, and we can have different situations, circumstances, it could be more severe for me.
Right.
And I'm calling it a cold.
Yeah.
So I'm always conscious of that. Like, and I use that. I'm a hypochondriac and all that good stuff, OCD and all that. All right. Okay.
So queen.
All right, you don't gotta be that deep. Like,
all right.
Okay. But I use that because it stays in the forefront of my mind when I meet stranger situations. I'm a mindset guy, so it's a little bit more personal when I know you. I feel like you should know me. Like, don't play with me. especially if you know me kind of thing. But I apply it to strangers and people that I know, more so to strangers and situations, because I don't know what got you there.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be there. So I need to put parameters and situations in place, which starts with me protecting and dealing with me first.
Right. And I'm glad that you said it. You said a couple of things, and I'm gonna hit on 3 points. One thing that you talked about was being the situation being contagious, but what you said after that, I want to hit that. So, and then I'll come back to contagious. You don't know what got the person there. Even taking the moment to look, and this is how I know, based on accumulative issues, you know what I mean? Right. The accumulation of different things that we've gone through in our past has given us the foresight to pause and think about the other person and their situation that may have got them there. One, because we know we could have went that route. Right. But we didn't, through God's grace, but we didn't go that route, or we went that route, learned our lesson, and came back around, right? Because we didn't always make the right decisions. But what that did was it caused you to have more, and not compassion where you give allowance to poor behavior, but it gave you compassion to at least look and see the person. Right. Past just like the poor behavior or situation, all of that, like the humanity of the person who's probably breaking and really frustrated and demonstrating this behavior because they're like, I don't even know what else to do. I'm just going to do this. Right. Which happens. And then you said the word contagious, and I wanted to talk about that. So like years ago, I had watched either like this video, or I'm like a nerd. I like research papers and stuff like that about psychology and things. And one of the things that you just talked about was like contagious behavior, right? Easy example. You go to the supermarket or you go to a retail store and you got to wait online. The line is long. You get the person who is in front of you or behind you or whatever, be like, oh my God, can you believe this? Can you believe how long this line is? Why is there only one cashier? You don't see this? And here's the thing. The person never stays in that hyper state by themselves. They're always looking for some to connect. They need someone to tag team into this thing, and it becomes a hysteria. Right. Now, where is the other cashier? You're right. And I didn't, and now it went from one person and it spread like wildfire. True, sure. Let me tell you something. People who do that hate me in the store. Because when you turn around and you look for me to tag in, I'm like, oh no, maybe they're just, I'm cool with waiting. I got some time today. Like, I'm not. I am not the one that you want to turn around to. I'm going to be like, well, I'm so thankful that she's here and that she's willing to stay on. She's probably due for a break then with all these people. So I'm going to be patient and I'm going to be good. I am annoying to that person. That's a different kind of mindset that you have that a lot of people should inherit. But it's funny, like the viruses that's typically not good for you are contagious, and the habits and attributes that are healthy for you are not. Right. Like it's the craziest thing ever. Right. Yeah, I'm the same person. Annoying and frustrating. No, I'm for sure the most annoying, frustrating person. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'll act like I don't even hear you talking to me. I became transparent. Like you're talking to the person behind me because you have a better opportunity to like trigger them more than I triggered you. I have more significant things in my life that I have to deal with that if I want to, and I still chose not to, but if I want to get ignorant, frustrated, or whatever the case may be, and blow up about, it's not going to be about me having like a pack of Gatorade, maybe a protein shake, and bananas at Target on a long line. Like that's not going to be it. If I allow something as small and insignificant as that to break me, then what am I really saying about the things that's more important? Right. That didn't. Like it's topsy-turvy. So I agree. It's funny you said it actually happened today. People was like looking at me to like tag in. They like create a riot. It was like weird. They're like, oh, like this guy. I'm straight from the gym. They're like, oh, like he's definitely gonna do it. And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. I know.
wild. I know, but it did make me think about, like, some people don't have the compassionate component or the mindset to be able to think bigger in the moment.
Right.
If there's one cashier, now I'm business minded, so I'm like, what I'm frustrated about is not the one cashier that's going to ring us up. If I'm frustrated, I am like, there's the regional manager needs to do a better job to talk to the managers, to talk to the sales managers. Like, I'm completely different in my mindset.
Right.
It does. I'm like, ooh, like I saw like a couple of the ratio of people on the sales and the floor people. Like, I saw people restocking, but like, I just think different.
You like the shift manager is not doing a good job.
She's not doing a good job. And still have compassion. He may be on break or she may be on break.
Right.
And not really know the breakdown that's happening right now. We just got caught in a gooseneck, like, you know, of a situation. Is it frustrating? Sure. But equally, assess yourself. This is what I do. If I'm that frustrated on a Target line or whatever line, Costco, BJ, I really don't like lines. I'm typically not on lines. But let's just say, you know, why am I that frustrated? Am I late for something? And if I'm late for it, why am I late for it?
Bringing it back to you.
Bringing it back to me. I'm
Bringing
always
it back
trying
to you.
Self-assess.
Right.
Always.
And I talk a lot about the internal, right?
Right.
I talk a lot about the internal processes because blame is so easy. Blame is so easy, and blame does not heal.
Right. No.
It just doesn't. Though it is done so freely and often, yet it does not heal you. It literally just causes mass hysteria.
Well said.
So I like that you're like, why am I late? I knew what I needed to do.
Right.
I didn't set myself up for the day.
Right.
And this poor cashier does not deserve the repercussions
Right.
of my poor time management.
True.
And it comes back into, I think, that same thing where you are like, the person that I am in a relationship with does not deserve the repercussions of my poor internal management.
We're going into relationships. That's what we're going to do. I saw that segue. I saw what you did. All right.
You're welcome.
Let me button up.
You're welcome.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
No, that's true. I think about that when it comes to relationships as well. Again, back to not wanting to hawk my future from my present because of my present situations, but also a component to that is like paying attention to like where you came from. It's kind of hard to not bring baggage and stuff like that, like into like your future, but you want to bring as less as possible. If you think about like traveling in airlines, which I do often, the less that you bring is the cheaper that it is the better your experience. All right, but we like to think about that when it comes to like superficial situations, airlines, baggage, fees, and stuff like that. But we don't think about that when it comes to our heart and our relationships and what we're asking the people that didn't inherit what we're bringing, but is willing to help carry it.
Hey guys, Samora Jones here, your emotional restoration coach. I am beyond thrilled to let you know that Shattered Whole, my book, is available on Amazon right now for you to purchase. It states that it's an interactive journal with someone who understands. Who's the someone? It's me. There's no mystery. You ain't got to figure it out. It is an opportunity for me to partner with you as you are unpacking all the things that you were desiring to heal through. I'm excited to be your partner. I'm excited to be your coach. And this is the first step. So make sure that you go and you get the book. And I cannot wait to have a conversation with you outside the pages. So that's good. That's good. I think understanding that people don't have to deal with your baggage, but if you're in a relationship with someone who's choosing it, they're choosing to help you carry it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you break them with your baggage, right? That means that you are taking the initiative to do the work with your baggage so that it becomes an easier carry on And maybe you would need to check a bag,
Right.
or two. But knowing that you're willing to do your internal work on your baggage is a blessing and a considerate compassion for the other person, right?
Right. I mean, if you shouldn't choose to take on weight, baggage, or any kind of situation with a person that you don't feel like qualifies. Period. Right. So it becomes about like you assessing your situation and making like the most sound decision.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's the best, but maybe it's the best for the moment.
Right.
It's funny, like talking about baggage and such, like it also doesn't mean that a person's baggage means that there's not valuable things attached to it. If you think like about a person's luggage that you want to carry as a man, as a gentleman, like I can't see myself dealing with a person, and I don't care what they came to the door with, like not wanting to assist. If I'm not willing to assist, then why am I getting involved at all? Period. Right. Like sometimes our negative situations will make us regret some of the things that we've done and be like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, oh, I shouldn't have helped, or I feel stupid, or I feel like foolish, or whatever the case may be. But you literally was doing what you were supposed to do in that situation.
Right. It's funny that you put it that way, because as a man, you're like, I want to help you carry, your baggage from destination to destination, right? I want to be a part of making your weight lighter. And as a woman, we want to open up your bag. See the we want to open up your bag, see the contents that's in your bag, and then help you find out what you don't need. Right?
That's a tricky place.
That is a tricky place, right?
I can see both sides of it.
Yeah.
But as a man, that's a tricky place.
That is a tricky place. Because one, all right, you can see what's in this bag, but you don't need to see what's in my toiletry bag. Right?
Why?
Right. What do you mean, but why?
Why? You just went through my whole bag.
No. We didn't go through your whole bag, right? We only saw a portion because you only showed us like one compartment, and then there's a zipper compartment that should be for shoes, but shoes is not in there.
Did you go through it?
Maybe.
Okay.
Did you grant access?
Did I grant access from the beginning? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. You want to be, and I know you're like, I'm deep in these suitcases, but as you are going through a lot of these like traumatic experiences in life, like these really are the conversations that you're having with significant others and friendships, and even in certain career paths, right? Because it is a part of you.
Right.
And while you are like, hey, as a gentleman, I want to be the one that you can lean on to help you carry the weight of what it is that you're bringing with you. And we want to be a part of unpacking the weight that you carry with you, because it's safe for you to take out everything. And listen, we hope it to be right. We hope it to be. And here's the thing that comes into place, like, who are you allowing to open and touch your bag?
True.
Right.
I mean, we want y'all to do that too. It's weird. It's kind of like the dog chasing its own tail. Like we, truth be told, like we really want that as well. We want somebody that we could be transparent and open with, that may see something that we don't necessarily see. Like providing and trusting. We haven't been conditioned to be able to be transparent and vulnerable. Yeah. And allowing a person to open up those other components. So if you think about, I know, again, we're diving into like bags and it's getting a little weird, right? But in my suitcase, I don't know if I should say this because I don't want people going into like aspects of my suitcase, but I have different compartments of my suitcase, and I'm very itemized and organized in my situation. I travel a lot. My suitcase is my closet right now, right? For a lot of different reasons, but my suitcase is my closet, right? And I travel a lot, but I have intricate components within my bag that, though I may let you open up my bag, I don't know if I necessarily want you to go through those small pockets. And that doesn't mean that I'm like necessarily hiding something, but a small pocket is a small pocket for a reason. And we use it as such for a reason. So like we want somebody that we can just be 100% open with and stuff like that. But like for me personally, given the allowance to be able to get there brings a different kind of responsibility that I choose to expect, like I expect. And I don't know if you think that my expectations for your responsibility of being that in that small component, because that small pocket is like, wow, keep my, I don't know, my wallet, my IDs, my credentials, my sensitive situations. I don't see you seeing, I don't care about you seeing my drawers. I don't care about you seeing like my undershirts and components and stuff like that. But like these small pockets is kind of like where I might keep some other really more sensitive situations. And I kind of want to make sure that the person that I'm allowing to get there holds the capacity and the responsibility to be able to handle what's in that pocket also.
Right. And that takes time.
True.
That takes I think testing the waters.
Sure.
Right.
Go into my suitcase and touch my drawers. That's the water. Let's see how you handle these drawers. Let's see how you handle my dirty clothes. So you handle these dirty drawers. Like, I don't know. I got dirty.
I don't know. But I just want to go back to like opening the bag. Okay. So you're carrying the suitcase to help with the weight.
Right.
We're opening the suitcase to help with the weight. Because you wouldn't allow us to carry it.
No.
And here's the thing. As a man, there's a weight that you have to carry that we can't help with.
Right.
But we can help take out what necessarily doesn't belong. Like we're the help mate, right? We're each other's help mate.
Right.
And we're helping at different areas and different components, right? But the goal was both the same.
That's what I'm saying.
The goal was both the same. And I think it's interesting that you stated, like, I don't know if I necessarily like trust you. So how do you navigate taking the experiences of your past to not hinder the expectations that you have, what you said, for your future?
For me personally, I can't speak for everybody, but I know that my aspiration to be like better than my last is what like drives me and allows me to go into situations blind. I try to make sure that everything future forward is like qualifying, right? Like a lot of people like think that to have like a standard or qualifying aspect and stuff like that is like something negative, but it's really about like exercising in your worth and paying attention to like what it means moving forward. So I think that a lot of people, but I try not to do, is do permanent things off of a temporary situation. And I don't know if you're temporary, right? Like I met you, you're dope, you're amazing. Like I'm excited, all that good stuff. But it doesn't mean that you instantly qualify.
Correct.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you not qualifying either. But we have this real like microwave mentality nowadays where it's like, as long as I have a package of something that I could throw inside of the microwave and it starts to pop, we think that it's popping. Right?
Right.
And everything that pops ain't popping.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I try to stay on top of that. I not try to challenge myself about not paying attention to like what we talked about in the last episodes about like the noise. You can get like lost in the noise, and you know things could sound great, but you got to pay attention to like, you got to know your worth, and you have to pay attention to like forecast well for yourself.
So knowing your worth, right? We went through hitting baggage, qualifiers, understanding that. But it really comes down to, like, by the time someone else is in the picture, by the time there's whether this is a friend, whether this is a significant other, like, what can you think of a story where you started to understand, like, your worth? Like, what was the event? Like, what happened?
In a relationship?
No, it don't have to be in a relationship. Just because even before there was a relationship, you need to know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like your worth. If it happened while you were in a relationship, okay. Right? But what was the situation or the space where you started to really, where you felt like maybe it was like your like kind of your euphoric moment where you're like, I'm this guy, right? Whatever this guy is, right? Because we should all have that component of ourselves. Like, I am this person. I'm this chick for yourself. So what was the situation or a story where you were able to really get who you are and the value of you? I'm pulling.
I appreciate it. You're pulling. And I appreciate you, like, trying to hold me accountable, because, like, this is a great organic aspect of, like, sometimes what men go through. Like, I'm willing to be open, but, like, it's not that comfortable all the time. So if you push it or you pull it, like, you'll get it, kind of thing. So compliments to you. But I can't think of one typical story, but it's been continuous, like, throughout my life. Like, I outgrow situations and people and things. Sometimes you have to take inventory of where you are. And one of my secret sauces that most people don't know is that if I can kind of, like, go through the mud with you, then I can go through the sunshine. Like, it just, everything becomes better. Like, people will reveal who you are when things get ugly and when things get bad. So in personal relationships and intimate relationships as well. I've been to some interesting relationships, and not even like in my near past, I guess, if I could say it like that. Like, when things get rough or ugly, paying attention, like, how we survive and thrive through it will dictate a lot of things moving forward. You know, people pay attention to, like, the great aspects and the qualifying aspects in their mind, or the good, or what I love about a person, but nobody pays attention to, like, what I don't like about the person, and can I deal with that? Yeah, for sure. Right. And it's not only about intimate relationships, it's about personal, it's about friendships and stuff like that. Like, I've known people that I've known for 20, 30 years. I've known people that I've known for 6, and I've known people that I've known for less that seems like they'll probably be around a lot longer because I'm growing. And I know, like, what I want. Like, I want relationships that I'm going to be able to grow old with. I've always wanted it, but I know how to, like, strive for it better. But and nobody asks, can I love you for the things that I don't like? Like, can I deal with that? Like, nobody pays attention to that. It's like, I love that you can cook. I love that you do this. I love that you're there. I love that you give me words of affirmation. But what can I love you when you don't? We can figure out what the don't means, or why you're not. Right. But, like.
Right. I like that. Can I love you for the things that you don't do?
Yeah.
No. Can I love you for the deficit?
Yeah.
For the flaw for me?
Right.
Right. And I think when you're able to do that, you tell more about yourself than you do the other person.
Sure.
But that has to be communicated within the other person. You said that you learn a lot about a person, or there's a respect that comes with a person that you can go through the mud with, right? But I have actually found the opposite story time. So when it was time for me to get married. For real this time, not the first engagement. And I was really like excited about it. There were friends and people who I was around who changed in my good. And it seemed like it was easier to endure with them in the bad because we all could connect. We're gonna go to trauma bonding.
Yeah.
We all could connect in the bad, but when my good got great and my great got phenomenal, I don't really know who you are. I don't really like who you are.
Relate.
They can't relate. They can't connect. They can't. And all of a sudden, these aspects of their personalities that I never saw before came out, and I would never see it because we were all in these spaces and places that they could go through the mud with me. So I was confused when the great came and they didn't survive.
Yeah. I mean, that says a lot about both parties, but that's awesome. I know that well as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that you got to experience that. Like some people will look at like that as a loss. But
I did for a long time think it was a loss because these were people that I knew for forever. They were like, you know how I am. Yeah. I am if we friends, I love you. Like I am
forever.
I have.
Sorry.
All right. I am the type that I am a very affectionate, a very loving, a very connective, like friend. And so
understatement.
Truth. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And so when I lose a friend, it's a mourning.
Yeah, well.
It's a mourning for me. It's like it's like almost like in my heart, like someone died in an aspect.
And they did.
Yeah. Like how do you, no, not how do you. I recognized where I had to make a decision.
Right.
Where I had to decide if I was willing to revitalize them to kill me. Mm-hmm. I had to find. I'm like, okay, you want them, you want what you had. Are you willing to bury you to resurrect them?
Right. All right. Well, since we're going a little deep in relationships and transparency, like I compliment what you said. Like I've known people. I pay, like I'm weird, like I'm a low key geek, and I read things and say, don't.
Yeah, not low key, but yeah, continue. No,
we're just gonna go straight through. We're gonna fight, like this is what we're gonna do. No, but I do pay attention to the people and the subject matters in which people like to talk to me about. Like I'm not easily accessible to a lot of people. My circle is tight knit, and people think that I'm funny, but I do it for a reason, for a good reason. But I know people that are really, really excited. I've recently, and am recently dealing with like not the best of a situation.
Yeah.
Right? Though I'm handling it like the best way that I can. Right? It is what it is. And it doesn't change the fact that though you are coming out of a situation as great and whole,
come on,
as you can, right? Shameless plug.
Do it. I'll take it.
It doesn't change what you're going through. And I realized like people will call them trying to support you, but it's not really support. Like I know people that want to talk about like nonsense drama. Like if I want to get like aggressive, frustrated, I want to talk like negative about my situation or about my past or whatever the case may be, they're all on board. Right? When I talk about the coming out of it,
you're no fun.
I'm no fun. You think you all that, right? Or I mean, I am, but like, whatever, right?
I
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. And or like they can't relate.
Yeah.
And I also I don't want to like make you feel away because you're not at the growth level that I am.
Right. But they also didn't go through what you went through. Like there is a I said earlier, and if I didn't say it in this episode, I said it in a previous episode where I talked about like healing too far to go backwards. Mm-hmm. And with that, there's a self-counsel conversation, but not in a way where you are counseling yourself into like poor places, but where you're sitting down and you are going through things and you ask yourself, how bad do I want to make the person feel the pain that I feel when it does not? Here's the thing, it doesn't heal me.
Yeah. I struggle with that.
You know what I'm saying? Like the humanity of us is just like, I don't want to be mature today. You know what I mean? Right. Like all that stuff. But when you're sitting down and you're thinking about it and you're just like, man, am I going to delay my life, my future, what I could, like, am I going to pile on pain that I'm already in pain?
Right.
Am I going to pile on pain in order to satisfy this small voice that wants to be a big voice,
Right.
and tell me that it's going to gain me power that it doesn't have the ability to give me?
Right.
And then go through it. So, excuse me, I recognize that it was so, how do I say it? I was proud of you and proud of you. And I recognize being proud of myself when I did not go down those easy roads.
And choose violence.
And choose violence. I'm very glad that you did not choose violence. I'm very proud of you that you did not choose violence. And here's why. Like, when you say stuff to self and you are like claiming your healing and talking about living with this renewed mindset, that means that doesn't mean that, oh, because you came to, you had this come to Jesus moment, that all of a sudden that issues won't come up, that you
Right.
won't have challenges.
Right.
Like, when the one you love the most is the one hurting you the most, how do you stand and not lose who you are, who you desire to become, and not repeat here's the thing, it didn't feel good when it happened to you, so why are you giving it back? So how are you going to react differently? And having a mature juxtaposition
Right.
of it is boring.
Right.
I want to see the mess. I want to hear the thing or whatever. I need you to be my personal soap opera.
Right.
And when you're not being that, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you not doing that? Then they're like, are you sure? Well, if that was me, well, thank God it's not you.
Like, you said so many things.
Thank God it's not you. It's me. And I'm not doing that.
I'm going to try to go in reverse, but you said so many things to touch bases on. Like, so you're right. And it's like, you don't want to become the hurt that has been inflicted. Like, you'll be a hypocrite, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so to meet you with the mess that you're bringing my way is to then become a hypocrite.
Right.
I really I learned in all my situations in life, and I've been through some crazy hardships and stuff like that and unfortunate things that I've blossomed from. But even in my most recent, it showed me how bad of a mofo I am. Like, because I could have met you where you were, what you're doing, beyond your limited capabilities, in my opinion. but I chose opposite.
Yeah.
And that's what showed me my strength is. I learned like young. And it's funny, like I tell this to the kids that I mentor and stuff like that, and the proof is in the pudding. If you give a kid, say me, grew up in the hood, all that good stuff, blah, 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 right? On my own. I done duffed people for less, right? Than what I'm going through now and or have been over the past course of the years. I done duffed people for less. When I learned discipline, somebody took me in and was like, "Yo, you got something in you. Like you got the it factor. Like that's it. Like let me like curate that. Like let me create some structure around it or whatever the case may be." When I realized my potential and my capabilities and my strength, and like how different I am from being like average or normal, and I made the decision to not be average or normal, I felt like less need to duff people,
Right.
because I knew my capabilities. So it became like a you're welcome kind of situation. Like I'm not going to do, and you're welcome kind of situation that I was able to walk around with in life,
Right.
rather than because I had less to prove.
Right.
Because more was proven to myself.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. Again, it is so important. And I'm like in this episode, as you hear us kind of like going back and just like coming to this recognizing of who we are and the importance of us within ourselves, and then it changes your position. It's what you have in you. Like each person should believe that they are important, not in arrogance and where you look down on others, but you recognize that you have a purpose here.
Right.
That you are created special for your particular purpose. So yeah, you are important.
Yeah.
So you have value.
Absolutely.
And when you are doing the internal work and external work, because it's you have to do both. Like you don't live in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like you live amongst people, so you have to do both internal and external. But you're doing because you understand that you're important. And then you also understand that the other person is important. Now, here's the thing. You may find out that they're not important to your story.
Right.
They're not important to your development. And that's when people, because not everybody can have access.
Right.
Not everybody deserves access. And some people will forfeit their opportunity to be a part of your journey and your life moving forward. They were seasonal, or they made them, or they made themselves seasonal.
I know some people.
You know, exactly. And going through that. I hope what you guys get from this is that there's so many different stories. There's so many different avenues, nuances, spaces, and places that you journey through in life, and they all are the puzzle pieces to the mind that you have now. Sometimes you find out that the puzzle pieces that you have don't fit, and you're trying to jam them into spaces and places where they don't belong, when it's really just trying to show you that may have fit then, but the puzzle has expanded.
Right.
And there is new pieces that go, and you can't, the puzzle that you had as a kid that had these giant, pieces don't fit when the details get smaller but broader, and you have to make a more strategic approach in order to complete that puzzle called your life.
Wow.
And thank you. I'll be out here sometimes. and I'm just like, but recognizing that I need to do the healing so that I can make statements like, I'm too healed to do that.
Right.
Be the boring friend that says, hey, I'm not going to be messy, or though they can't do that to me. I'm just like, because your now, not even your future, your now is too important and valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like first of all, your future is made up of now moments.
Right.
That's what it is. So don't wait for your future to get it right. Like your now is the future to get right.
Yeah. And I don't know why people think that, like, resistance is weakness when your resistance is your strength. Like resistance and like what you can do like really shows you your capability. You have to use your primary and secondary muscle. Like you're able to do, but then you have to pull back on it. Like it's the biggest and the best of the cars have the best brakes. Like people don't pay attention to that. You want to think about the horsepower that makes you go forward, but like what happens, like if you don't have the brakes to be able to like stop, then you're just a crash dummy. And I think that we live in like in a world of a bunch of people that's just like, you know, pedal to the metal and they're crash dummies, and they're not paying attention to anything. And I just wish people would self-reflect a lot better. Like when people have done what you have done, they can have what you have.
Sure.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you know, in this microwave popcorn mentality world, like people don't want to do what you have gone through to have what you have or would have what you have, and then call themselves being like seasoned, and then you're not.
Yeah.
Just crazy. And so
that has been a many of conversations where they're like, "Oh, some more. Can you just tell me how you did this?" Because to me, I don't think I make it look easy, but apparently, that is something I'm like, I'll walk with you because I always believe like in partnership, right? Yeah. I'm like, I want to partner with you in it because first of all, I wish someone was partnering with me along like the nuances of these journeys as things like pop up, right? Because you don't know what you're about to uproot. Sometimes, like, you know, you see the big wrong, but you don't know all of the things that's rooted under there that's been holding that big thing down.
Right.
And when you take off the big one, you still have all these little things in you to uproot or to nurture. Because sometimes not everything needs to be taken out of you. Some things just wasn't properly nurtured. Right. It wasn't used. If you just changed the way that was attended to, right, it can actually be your superpower, if you will. Yep. And being able to like know what that is, and having counsel, support, therapy, Jesus, you know,
accountability partners. People that you could be, that's going to hold you accountable.
Correct. Exactly.
And that you're going to allow to.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to have an accountability partner to be able to vent. Venting to people in persons is not having an accountability partner in relationships. It's being able to like allow the person to assess you, being like transparent and honest. And then also taking the things that you don't necessarily like from them. Like you chose that they qualify to be in this space and aspect in your life.
Correct.
Right. Like you made the decision, you vetted them, you made the forward thinking decision. Yeah. And when they say something that you don't like, doesn't mean that you automatically get to disqualify.
Right. Oh, I guess I outgrew you. I guess you don't get me. You don't understand me anymore. And I'm just like, if you like everything that I say all of the time, we're not friends.
Right. Yeah. True.
We're not friends. Yeah. If I can never say anything that upset you, we can never have growing pains. We can't have that. We're not friends. Right. We would just we just had a moment.
Right. It's true. I mean, I got people in my life that don't have the availability to be able to like quote unquote talk back, but they're in that space for a reason, and you're for a limited purpose. You know, I'm just saying. You also use for a limited purpose. Right. But the people that are allowed near and dear, close, or whatever the case may be, like, I think that if we do a better job of paying attention to our self-worth, we will surround ourselves with better things, better people and situations and stuff like that. If I know that my self-worth is, like, if I value myself as high, then I want to bring people around me that can relate. Yeah. You can't bring low-level people to a high-level situation. Right. They're not going to relate. Right. So if I feel like I'm on a high level and I bring people around me, you're on a high level as well. So I have to value the good, bad, and indifferent. And we have to, like, challenge each other. Iron sharpens iron. Like, you, for sure, sharpen me. I mean,
you're welcome.
Because you're also annoying. And if you don't have people around you that is annoying in so many situations and stuff like that, then maybe you need to assess what you have around you.
Correct. Yeah, this was different than our normal. This was different than our normal episodes, and I kind of just wanted to have a conversation. Not be so interviewee and just kind of have a conversation, because I think it's important to talk about. Sometimes everything ain't clear. Sometimes there is conversations that you just need to have with yourself, with your people, with your partner. And then afterwards, you need to just think through and make some decisions about what you really see. The greatest encounter that I've ever had was with God, because I was able to have really hard, difficult conversations and then watch answers form in my life for the things that I asked about. And there was nothing too hard, too difficult for me to go to God and ask. And I kept in times looking for answers one way, but they would manifest in people and situations and opportunities and closed doors, and rest moments and moments where I needed to push forward. And they all built me.
Well, to say build me, that's huge. That's dope.
You know what I'm saying?
Because some people would say break.
Oh, it did both. It did that too. Because I think that there is this, we run from break, but break is an opportunity to break open.
Yeah.
Not just break apart, but break open and receive something different.
Yeah. Well, and break hurts.
Break is excruciating.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
excruciating because you're breaking mindset, you're breaking hope, you're breaking it's the exhaustion.
Yeah.
It's I'm tired. It's the I don't understand. It's the what am I even here for? Like, I'm trying and it's not working. It's the I'm gonna curse out Jesus and you, because I'm not sure about what about what is, and he's not fixing it and you're not fixing it. No one's fixing it.
Right.
But breaking open is an opportunity for you to see God in a light that you never was listening enough to experience. And there was something else in your life in his seat, and he's a permission God. And I think back to all of the experiences that I have. Like, my testimony is long and vast and complicated and simple and awkward and still going.
Yeah.
And yet the toughest, easiest, confusing, missing, in my opinion, aspects has allowed me to thrive and live in a way that I never thought was hoped was, but never thought was possible. So don't dismiss your space of figuring.
Sometimes that happens in the breaking. Well, I mean, you said it a lot better than me. When I thought breaking, I literally felt like bones breaking. But what if I was growing wrong? Right? Like, sometimes you got to break that bone. Like, you got to break that joint. You got to break the situation to align it better. And I've been through a lot of breaking in my life. And I can honestly say that though the pain is still traumatic when you think about it that way, so you got to do your work that way. PTSD is a serious thing. Sometimes you could physically still feel the pain, depending on how new it was. But I can't honestly say right now, regardless of it all, that I have not been broken in a space that I've chose to grow wrong. Whether I grew wrong, long, and strong, it's just more breaking that has happened. Right? So I was broke. There was a lot of breaking that has happened. There was a lot of breakups that happened. There was a lot of situations. But it allows you to get into better alignment to be able to grow the way that you were supposed to.
Absolutely. And no one wants to walk into, no one is like, yay, I'm breaking because I'm going to align. But no one is saying that. But if you are in a broken stage place, or you're in the figuring out stage, right? Because, and we'll talk about it at another time. But like when I talk about claiming your healing, it is the chaos stage. It sounds like claim your healing and hallelujah and all that. Hey, and all of those. My producer has been waiting to play that one. And it's and I woke him up. Be like, and that is that's great and like wonderful, but it's chaos. Yeah. Because you're trying to tell me to claim something that does not exist in my right now. Right. I don't have a vision for it to come. I'm hoping for it. I'm wanting for it. And I have to do the work of all of the things in between before I get to live. Yet I'm past the point where I've stated the facts. So I'm literally in becoming. I'm literally in the, I'm like, I got to get past this part. Right. And I got to walk into this part, but I got to walk through the valley first. Yeah. And I have to stay true to it. I got to make decisions. I got to be boring. Right. I got to be, all these things. I got to have discussions with myself. I got to go through therapy. I got to do all these things. It's the chaotic place of transition. But it's where you practice what you're claiming. Right. And you practice it in discomfort.
Absolutely.
Until you start living as a new creation where now this is your life.
Right.
And there's a new lesson to learn, right? Wow. So, listen, I am ecstatic for the opportunity always to express these in between places. Everything ain't clean, everything ain't pretty, and everything ain't, there's like there are these times where you kind of gotta go through the in between. Right. But thank you for listening to testimony, to trials, tribulations, and then also into like the thrive and the recognizing where we are and still growing. We still got a lot of growing to do. And so do you. But we'll get there together. We'll journey forward. We're shattered whole, right? So thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Look at you.
I mean, this is opportunity, so I appreciate it more than you think. This is a living example, right? Of everything that we're trying to strive for and motivate, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable.
Right.
Like yourself. But you got to go through the trials, to the tribulations, to go to the triumph, to get to the triumph.
Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, so thank you again. And remember, as always, I am listening and I see you. I love you. God bless.